trouble with framing stuff is that you end up with a lot of frames. And frames, sometimes frames are on the wrong picture. Time only reveals that. The problem now is to get some kind of semblance of reorder here. A lot of empty canvas stretches. Canvas is already stretched. A lot of uncertainty as to what has to happen now. Plastic piled up here, covering nothing. But I gotta get the other thing is to decide what needs to get thrown out. That's another thing. That's not easy. Melissa's stuff is in here. I don't know what it's doing in here, but it's in here. She wants me out of her space down there, but she can use my space, you know what I mean? Storage. The work of friends. No work of friends. This is all going to be put away. You can't just be leaning against things, blocking things. All right, now, to do something I can't do because I'm forbidden, and that's to climb a ladder. I fell off a ladder once, so I guess I'm going to try to stabilize this as best I can. Actually, all I have to really do is go pop way up. See this? Take care of that for a while. Another lean job. Over there. Oh, yeah, this is
Oh, here's another question. The question I was going to get to is a technical one.
yeah.
About how is this going to blow the whole time we're here?
What?
The heater?
Oh,
I think it's
no, it's going to go off as soon as it comes up to temperature.
okay.
I can drop it down so it goes off faster.
We could do.
Is that a problem, Peter?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah, I think if we just notice when it does, then we can, say things we know are worthwhile conversation
Yeah.
for when it goes by.
You did get some stuff right.
Yeah.
A little bit of nonsense. I don't know what I'm gonna pretty much be doing is just putting things away,
Right.
That's it. I gotta get, in other words, what I gotta do is get set up to get back to work. And there's a lot of, when there's 200 things you could do, and you really don't know what to pick, that's a big problem. That's a goddamn disaster, as a matter of fact. Because you keep finding excuses not to do it.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
And that's part of what I'm experiencing right now. Trouble with painting something white is it doesn't stay white very long. And dust. Now, I gotta get Mark to cut me some more of these extrusions. But what I gotta do is something a little better than what I've got here, and that is the same thing, except a little bit modified. I gotta go up further here. So this is gonna go further up. This is gonna go another half inch, another quarter of an inch or something. Another quarter of an inch. Take. There's not a whole lot left. Now what's going to go in here? What's going to go in here are some of these keep this place a little bit cleaner. There's also something you have to work at. You know, you keep saving things because you think you're gonna use them at some point, and it does not, sometimes it never happens. Never happens, and you just keep collecting. I gotta think of what I'm gonna do here with these newer etchings. Am I gonna mat these? How are these going to, first of all, this is better. I need, let's see more of this paper here. See, what I'm doing, I'm spending a lot of time with these, with this etching process, printing process, and I'm taking it away from actual work in the studio here, because it has to be done at the school. Wish I could pay someone to do this. Some of them, a couple of them framed. Sure, I like these ones we did on Mylar. We only did 2 of those on Mylar, 2 prints of each one of the plates. This is, we did, okay, this is the other half, okay. It's the other half. Now, decide, this is 10, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one, 5. do? What have I got, Mylar in between some of these? That's exactly what I've got to do. But I don't have enough to put between each group. I don't think I do. Oh, seems to be enough so far. These are gonna be matted. Some idea just how, I'm not sure this particular print will be matted, but I think three from this series of 15 different images will be matted, and I think this particular, this is Reeves. I think this is what we're going to mount, we're going to mat. This was a sketchbook that I did at the Isola di Giglio in '98. Isola di Giglio is an island off Tuscany. It's off near Civitavecchia, Orbetello on the mainland. And I did 15 drawings in a little 3x5 sketchbook, and I reproduced them exactly with this process, silicon process of plate making. It's called silicon intaglio. And what's good about this is that it's pretty much probably one of the cleanest and safest of all the printmaking processes. You digitize the drawing itself, the original, and you expose it to a sensitized plate with light. Then you etch it, and it's ready to be rolled with ink and printed, run through the press. It's the easiest thing in the world. It does take a certain amount of time, of course, like everything, but that's something you have to just write in and forget about. But this is a good way to get drawings transferred precisely and then reproduced in an edition of whatever number you choose. I chose 5 prints. So we have 15 images, 5 prints per image, which amounts to something like 75 or so pieces of paper. And I did one image, one edition on this unsized Reeves, and another one on Amatruda paper from Amalfi, old paper that I had from the 60s. And another very small edition of 2 on Mylar as an experiment. Of these. This is the, this is 1, 2, and that's the first one I did in the sketchbook. This is the, oh, I know what happened. Dawn took one of these. So there's an edition of 5 of these, and the lovely person that helped me print these at school, took one of each, and she chose to take this paper here, which was a smart choice. This paper's handmade in Amalfi, and I thought was, I don't know, I guess everything has an ultimate purpose, and I never used this paper. I had about maybe a couple hundred sheets of it. This was given to me by Mr. Ramatruda himself. I never used it, and finally it found a purpose. And here we have it right here, appropriately proportioned, I think, to the page, to the original shape of the plate. That's one. This is another. There are 15 of these, 3/5. This is 1/5. So there are only 4 prints. Oh, wait a minute. There may even be a 1/5. 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 3. This is, let me see. This is 2. So we have, this is the second drawing in the book. This is the second drawing in the book. You see the resemblance. There is a resemblance here, but now these are going to be differently framed. These will be, if they ever see the occasion to find themselves in a frame, these will be framed without a mat, because I think the paper itself is reasonably attractive and ought to be seen in its entirety. If there is going to be a mat, by the way, the mat may exist. The mat may exist. Let me just see one of these. The mat will probably be something, because of the small size of this print, the mat may, I'm sure will, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that we'll have to do this. The mat will be, they'll be floated inside a mat, in other words. Totally, and I think that's the best solution, pretty much. The question is always, you know, what color should the mat be now? Should the mat be sort of an off-white, or should the mat be this sort of blind white that that paper represents? So we have 2, and this is the 5th. Try to keep these things in some sort of order. Starting a whole new project with this process. And I'm reproducing drawings from other sketchbooks, larger ones, and pretty much going to be working in the same way with the same person, Dawn Simmons. You know, we curated these, and then never looked at them again. So this is the first time I'm seeing these, really, after having signed and numbered and curated them. I don't know, maybe this edition here was signed twice, on the bottom and the top. We experimented with this position and decided ultimately that it was better there, mainly because they needed to be matted, so you would never see the signature or the date or whatever. But I wonder if these couldn't be The idea, of course, is that how do you, how do you group these at a certain point? How do you group them? My idea was that since there are 15, it would be convenient to group them in threes, 3 per mat, 3 windows, so that would be 5 mats of some, if we work this proportion out here, the proportion would be 30 inches, the mat would be 30 inches wide and 18 inches high. That is a proportion essentially somewhat related to the image, but not accurately related to the image. So we'd have these lined up in 3 windows on a single mat. Seems to me that that would some way facilitate in a practical way, and also show a relationship between these images as one succeeds the other. So here we have image 13 and 14. We're getting toward the end here, because 15 is there. So we have 13, 14, and 15, which is this one here. So these would all be in a single mat. You've got 2 horizontals, and then you have a vertical, which ends the series. Now, of course, the question again, there's always a question, and that is whether or not these ought to be presented in the order that they appear in the sketchbook. Why couldn't 13 be, well, let's say, why couldn't 15, which is a vertical, be with 3 other verticals instead of with 2 horizontal? I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, you really, there's no end to it. On the other hand, this presents a different kind of look in a mat, horizontals and a vertical. So there are a number of things here that become options, and you have to choose. I mean, you really do. I don't see any point in my matting more than one group of these. Because then you have that, again, that framing problem where not only is it expensive, but it's space consuming and that kind of thing. So this is the first time I see these things in my space. I mean, I looked at these things over a period of time in the print lab. Even when I was signing these things, it was print lab, and now they're somewhere else, and that's got to count for something. Not sure what, but one thing about the print lab, it's clean, and it's more than I can say for this studio, although this little table has been reserved for these many years here as a reasonably savory surface. So what do I do now? Get Ray Anderson on the case, mat these things, and see them presented in a way that's appropriate and necessary for the performance part. What I wanted to do is hey, I can try something here. Let me stack that, this, this, and try something. This goes here. Since this frame that I think I'm going to try to use, mainly because this is a frame made by Mark Pomilio for the series, which I call the Egyptian Suite. I don't really call it that, but that's what it is. These are sort of constructions, collage, combinations, mixtures, technique mixtures that were done after I came back from Egypt in '99. They were all done in a frenzy of working. So, you know, this is more. This is, what did I say? 30 inches. This is not 30 inches. So I won't be able to get. I could get 2 on this, but I need to have 3. No matter how I cut this, I'm not going to be able to get 3. Although, if we can visualize a thin mat there, a thin mat there, and a thin mat here, maybe this will accommodate. Maybe this will accommodate 3. So approximately, that's what it's going to look like. I hope to choose this kind of frame because it adds some kind of weight, given that rather prominent, massive face. It adds weight. I think it documents an aspect of my current involvement that we don't have, first of all.
Right.
You know? And if we use a minute of what we just did, you know, chosen and edited selectively, I think we will have included something.
Well, these
I'm
prints
spending
are
a lot
also,
of time with.
These prints are also the part of the series that I just that I have some shots of you
In the lab.
in the lab, in the studio.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of nice.
Well, this
Tie-in.
would be, this would be, you know, as you say, a tie-in to that.
Right. That's good.
Okay.
That's great.
Let me see. You want to go in the back room there, and I'll start rearranging some things in shelves or what? Or, you know, I mean, I'm not really prepared to work right now.
Right. Right. No, I'm expecting you to work right now.
Let me see. You know, the biggest thing is something I told you a little earlier, and that was that I have to find a way to start working again. I mean, you leave the studio for way too long, which is what I did. No painting for, God, it must be going on over a year and a half, maybe more than that. And you get caught up in stuff that assumes a certain dominant chronology in your life, and it consumes you, and then then you have to find another entree to what you left, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Trying to find another way to hook back into what I really want to do with what's left.
Have you done that before? Have you gone through the sort of gone away from things for a while and then had to find your way back?
Oh yeah, I'm famous. I'm famous for that. I do that well, very well, unfortunately. So I can't say that I'm a victim. I'm not trying to become a victim here. I am saying, though, that I'm becoming much more conscious of the fact that something has to happen in my studio. As I wind down and resolve some of the other aspects of my life right now, like school and this new project that I'm doing. It's adjunct to what I really want to do. I mean, it's, you know, this print business is interesting. I mean, I have to say that I'm not bored with it. I wish I had more time for it. I mean, it's affording me a certain amount of occasion for ideas now, and it's also getting my work out of the sketchbook and into life. You know, it's getting these things out there. If anybody's interested in my work, they may have this may spawn an audience. I don't know. I'm not exactly in terms of my painting. Haven't exactly created a great market for myself, but that's something else. Anyway, let me continue to unbundle. This stuff is, I don't know if you remember, Peter, I had the show in Kalamazoo, the exhibit, the Mellon sponsored exhibit, and these are the some of the paintings. Oh man, this is potential risk here. This is some of the paintings that were shown in that exhibit, and now I just have to unpack and find a place to put them. That's the first time these have been shown anywhere. And you know, this series of what now I call architectonics, because of the sort of obvious shape of the part of the image. And they were actually based on a series of drawings I did again in sketchbook. Some of those are over there on the wall. At the time, based on a bend in the road. And that's the point to which those drawings were pushed developmentally. They became abstractions. Many of those drawings went from sort of naturalistic, realistic kind of image to more linear, abstract images. And these emerged out of that idea. That became an idea at a certain point for me. And I devised this method of framing because this is a total, well, with the exception of wood and aluminum, it's a total plastic material convergence here. You have acrylic on mylar mounted on this plastic corrugate, which I get from this impressions company, Light Impressions. And so it's plastic on plastic on plastic, mounted on just a very plain wood stretcher that could be cleaned up, I guess, with paint or whatever. I'm not sure I mind that. And framed on top and bottom only, something I devised with wood on some of the larger works that are out of sight right now. But anyway, oh, there's one right there against that easel. But anyway, the aluminum angle pretty much exists only on two sides. It isn't exactly a frame. It's more a protective device. I mean, if you drop any of these things on a corner, you might as well throw it out. I mean, or you've damaged it. But the frame protects all four corners in a very practical and I think rather elegant way, actually. So it's fast and it's also rather inexpensive, which of course is an issue. Oops. Still working on these here. These have to be remounted. I'm not quite sure that I'm not quite sure I know how, is what I'm saying. And I also struggle with the idea of whether they ought to be framed. The technique here is pretty much the same as I used in the Rome variations of '88 and the Egyptian things that we've just seen. This is all recycled stuff, by the way. These are all paintings which at one point were selected out to discard. And like I said a little earlier, you know, you collect things and you pile things up. At some point you find a use for them or you don't, and they remain part and parcel of your inventory, which is cluttering the studio. But I managed to find use for just about everything. Everything comes back in some form or another, which is given another chance at life. Those drawings up there have been up there now for a very long time. I'm not quite sure what they need. Sometimes I can't find anything further to do to them. They're sort of, again, part and parcel of a process that was incidental to their present form here. They were used or reused and sort of reformulated with some additions. But all of that color was originally inadvertent, kind of. That paper was pretty much used as a backdrop for other things to happen on top. And what you see there is the vestiges of, I guess, what never went on to what was on top. And I added, because there was some suggestion there for, I think, a formulation that I had already explored. The interventions sort of pointed up a way to bring them around to that particular look, and I'm not quite sure what I think of them right now. They may in the end end up trashed, but I don't see any point right now. I'm not sure, so they just remain hanging in the true sense of the word. Now, this is another great. You finished?
No, I mean, we can pause if you want. But
Yeah. I'm on a roll now.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Let's go.
this is another. This is another one of my favorite escapes. See, I escape into these, into the what happens between the covers of these books, to continue to extend the variational potential of certain images. Every time I come back to this, well, any one of these, this one just happens to be here right now. Anytime I come back to these, I find a new entree to what was there, and I can push it a little further. This one here has always appealed to me as something that in itself is probably as far as it's well, as far as I'm able to carry it. This one too has something. So does that one. Some of them are very much unresolved. I don't really know what I could get out of that. Even as I look at it now, nothing suggests itself. And I depend a great deal on, oh, this is interesting. This, and I don't think I have my card for the, this grew a series of variations. What is this, book 2? Let's go to book 2. Book 2. A series, I think probably I may have something in here. This book 2, I can find that same image. That's that same image right there, carried again another step. And let me see if I can. Oh, here's the other one. And this constituted the card was composed of the matrix, which it's buried somewhere in the original book. This was the a collage made from the catalog cover of my 1996 Works exhibit. And that's in color. And what I do essentially is docutech the original theme, and then this is probably the clearest, you can see beyond those pencil lines, this is the clearest example of the copy from the original in just simply black and white. Then I go further in other, this was also Docutech. You can see the vestiges of this original Docutech copy. And then I assess the potential there is there for updating through variations another formulation based on the original theme. So that's simply a variation. Here's another one done again with drawn with ink and gouache and various other things. This tape stuff too is interesting. I use that a lot to clean things up or to eliminate or whatever. So that essentially is the way I work. The work sort of, in some sense, generates itself out of its own nature, and that's how I keep things going. So these are book 2. This is book 2. I have 6 of these books, and I could keep doing this forever. And every time I go into one of these books, it's a little seductive, actually, because it's a wonderful way to escape some of the heavier aspects of what I do here, painting and other things, because there's an intimacy here. It's relaxing. It's thoughtful, challenging, you know, and at the same time, it takes the weight off of having to prepare the materials for the sloppier and dirtier processes that that I really should be doing, but unfortunately have postponed. So much of what I do in terms of formulating the images that appear in my paintings grows out of the experience I have in these books directly. And these are all the same, so they'll all go in the same box. I had to, you know, these things were all over the place until I organized them in boxes like you see here. Each book has its own, yeah, each original book has its own box, and the variations spawned from that particular book may exist in 4 or 5, up to sometimes 6 Docutech copies that are reworked, as I just explained, and they are also somewhere in the box there. But I have to start working again because I have an exhibit coming up in, I believe, September. If Tom Bartlett can get his studio gallery finished by then, the Matrix Gallery, and I have been given the opportunity to have the inaugural exhibit there, which I'm going to share with Mike Gould who's a musical percussionist and a collaborator of mine. I'm not quite sure what the nature of the collaboration is, but we're working together and sort of developing and in some way defining what the nature of this collaboration in essence is going to be about. Mike has already taped quite a bit of material, working sounds in the studio and conversations that we've had together regarding the nature of a collaboration. Most of these collaborations that I've seen between the visual and the literary or the poetic remain somewhat, to my mind, arbitrary and unrelated. I don't see the convergence. I don't see the marriage. I think what we're looking for the most part, is a symbiosis here of sort of wedded meaning, and it's difficult. I think this is what we're struggling with for the most part. Where does a collaboration converge in ways, for the most part, seamless, you know? Maybe that's impossible, I don't know. I don't know if it's even feasible. But all we can do is try, and the trying is in the working out, which of course is ongoing. And Mike has a lot more confidence in where we've come so far than I do, although I'm open and hoping. Mike appears to be, and I think he's a great help in terms of his attitude. He appears to be much more positive. And I think we're pretty much agreed, by the way, with respect to how we feel about what a collaboration really needs to be. How it really needs to ultimately address the integrity of the converging disciplines, and at the same time make some kind of connection which resolves itself in something other, and this other is, I think, what I envision when I try to describe it as a wedding